Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a good one today. I'm the Metal Junkie, and today I'm going to be doing the very best of Manowar. I'm going to be going through each one of their studio albums and giving you what I think is their best track on that album. And I'll also throw out my personal favorite track on there too, because sometimes your personal favorite aren't quite the best songs on the album. You just keep going back to them for whatever reason. So, of course, this is all opinionated. It's not going to be the right answers. It's just what I believe is the best from each album. So make sure you drop what's your favorite song from each one of these albums. And perhaps after I do this video, I'll do a worst of Manowar, which I'll give you the worst song from each album if you're interested in that. So make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any future content that I put out. And let's get right into this. So kicking things off with their debut, Battle Hymns. I think the best song on here is Battle Hymn. It's a song that they still play to this day live all the time. It's a staple in their catalog. Their first album is very hard rock infused with heavy metal. It's kind of a mixture of the two, but this song definitely goes more into the heavy metal, power metal style that we're more used to seeing with Manowar, especially after this album. They really dive into that much more. To its great battle lyrics, to its awesome live anniversary show where they got all the previous guitarists and drummers all together to play this. It's just a great track, and it's definitely the best off their debut album. And my personal favorite track on here has to be Metal Days. I have listened to that song so many times. Definitely the top 5 most listened to songs by Manowar for me. Oof, I got right into this track. I'm singing along with it. I love like the chanting in the chorus. Metal Days. It's a really badass track that really does infuse the hard rock and metal genre really well. So it's my personal fave. Next up, off of Into Glory Ride, I'm going with Gloves of Metal for the best track on here. And it's not my favorite album. I don't actually have another personal pick, so this is also going to be my fave track too. It's the best and my fave. It's just badass, about metal warriors. Most importantly, the fans. Just really well written. It's badass riffs. I love the bass on here as well, so it's the best off this record. Up next with Hail to England. It's a tough choice on here. Such great tracks on here. But I think the best track is Army of the Immortals. It's tight with Blood of My Enemies. I think those are two contenders for the best track. But I had to go with Army. It's just a great love letter to the fans. It's a song that got better after I went through their catalog and knew the band. Because like I said, it just shows their support towards their fans and the support that the fans give back. So another great song to play live, just cool licks, another infectious chorus. So to me, it's the best. But my personal favorite track on here is Each Dawn I Die. There's just something about this song that keeps me coming back. It's short, quick, but damn, is it so good and badass. It's a little heavy. I like the bass tones in it. They really stick out. The battle cries that Eric gives off are undeniable. So yeah, this one's a personal fave. Moving on to Sign of the Hammer. And again, such a consistent album. Hard to choose the best. I mean, a lot of contenders with Thor, Mountains. But I'm going with Guyana, The Cult of the Damned. Just great songwriting. A very dynamic track with different transitions and such. And again, just a chorus that will get stuck in your head till the end of time. So great track. But my personal fave track might be The Oath, for just how different it is. It really stands out in their catalog for being more like thrashy and fast, and it's just full of badass solos from start to finish. So I have to shout out The Oath. It feels very overlooked. Up next with Fighting the World. Very tough choices again. Do I go with Defender, Holy War? I'm ultimately gonna go with Black Wind, Fire, and Steel. Power metal's not my favorite genre, but this song does it so well, man. It has me singing along every time to that chorus. It has a lot of energy to this track, and like I said, it just does power metal in a way that even I love. It's just very fast and melodic. And if I have to choose a personal fave on here, I think I'm going to have to go with Fighting the World, the title track. It's just one that I always seem to be throwing on all the time in the background. Very catchy, very like reminds me of early 80s Kiss, despite the artwork being done by the same guy who did all the Kiss album covers. and them posing kind of like Kiss with their Destroyer album. That's irrelevant because the song actually does sound like them a bit, and I'm always singing along to it, and I like how you get kind of multiple choruses in here, so very cool track. On to Kings of Metal. Now, I think most people will choose Heart of Steel, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just stated many times, that's just not exactly my style of music, but I get it's probably the best track on here, but I'm not going to choose it. I'm actually going with Hail and Kill because the guitar riffs are just so cool on there. I like how it goes from melodic to heavy. And again, it just got a great chorus to sing along to, especially in the crowd when you're watching this live. So Hail and Kill is the best for me. But my personal fave on here is, again, really tight between Kings of Metal, because I played that a shit ton, and Blood of the Kings. But I'm going to have to go with Blood of the Kings. Another kind of overlooked track, I feel. It's just full of badass guitar work, solos. Love the lyrics, how they're bringing back titles from their old albums and stuff. Just very cool stuff. I love when bands do that. And yeah, it goes out with a bang, this track, so it's a personal fave of mine. The Triumph of Steel is up next, and I think most people would say Achilles, Agony, and Ecstasy in 8 parts is their best track on here. And again, that's perfectly fine. It's just not for me. It's a little too lengthy, and I don't want to say all over the place because it does make sense within the story, but it's just not my cup of tea, okay? So I ultimately went with Ride the Dragon. I think this song is just really fast paced throughout, where the other tracks on this album kind of go fast, then slow down, go fast, slow down. This one's a bit more consistent with its tempo, which I really appreciate. Rhino on those drums with the double foot pedal and everything, just so damn cool. And the sounds of the dragon effects and that on here. Just a standout track for me, and it's personal fave and the best on the record in my opinion. On to Louder Than Hell. This one has a couple choices as well, but I ended up going with number 1. It's a song that really stuck with me after going through this album. I always tend to go back to it. I like to put this on when we're playing like card games or whatever, just to prove that I'm number 1 and that's why we're playing, you know? It's kind of your standard heavy metal track with a really catchy chorus, and I just really love it. Warriors of the World is next, and I'm going with Warriors of the World United for best track. It's just, again, a really good song to play live because you get great crowd interactions. Love the opening bass line, and it just feels like it was written in the 80s and it came out in the 80s, even though this is a 2000s track, believe it or not. So just really love this one. As for personal track, Hand of Doom is so damn good, but I had to choose Call to Arms because Call to Arms is probably the most played song of all by Manowar for me. It's one I've listened to millions of times by this point. I just love the guitar riff in it when they do triplets and stuff. It's just so damn good. And I actually sing not only the chorus of this, but from start to finish, I can sing all the lyrics to this track. One of my favorite Manowar songs of all time, so it's a personal fave for me. Taking a look at Gods of War album, I had to go with the title track, Gods of War. I'm not a big fan of this concept album. I can respect it and appreciate what it was going for, but a lot of the tracks lean way too far into the symphonic elements and the orchestra elements and kind of lose sight of the metal itself. There's exceptions to that, but Gods of War I feel like has the perfect balance between the symphonic elements and the metal, and they just bring them together and fuse them really well. It's just really badass. It almost reminds me of like the Imperial March or something from Star Wars. So this is the best and my personal favorite on here because it's not a record that I'm really fond of personally. As for their final album, The Lord of Steel, their best song is probably Touch the Sky, despite its poor production. But I mean, that's every track on here has way too much bass in it. But this one definitely has a chorus that gets stuck in your head. It can be cheesy at times, but I kind of gotten over the cheesiness after listening to it a few times. So yeah, it's probably the best on the record. And my personal fave on here is probably Born in a Grave. Again, terrible production. Terrible mixing on here, way too overpowering bass. But despite that, I think it's again a catchy chorus, and it's about vampires, which is something really different from the band, you know? So I can appreciate that, and I really dig the lyrics. So there you have it, guys. There's my best of for every Manowar album. Best tracks and my personal faves if I had any. I want you guys to drop down what's your best tracks from all these albums, and if you have a personal fave that you don't think is quite the best track, but it's one you always return to and play all the time, I would love to hear it down in the comment section. We'll have a great discussion about it, and you don't have to agree with me on any of these because it's just opinion based, right? Like all my videos. So I hope you enjoyed it. I will return with the worst of Manowar if you guys are up for it. That might be a little tougher to come up with, but I'll try my best not to piss off too many people. But it is what it is. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great day. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel so don't miss out on any future content. And that's a wrap on this video. Until next time, guys. Thanks for watching.